Hi, welcome to the Owl's Nest. Today we will be taking a walk in Nose Hill Park. We have an expert who's writing a book on the park. I'd like to welcome Romana Prokopiw. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I'm very excited about our walk today. What kind of things will we be learning about?
I would like to take you to a special woods where there's a lot of different bushes and trees. And so we'll be talking about the differences between them and who they are and that kind of thing. We can walk through the meadow and look at what flowers are blooming right now. Talk about those and maybe have a little bit of a conversation about which flowers are already done blooming and which are still coming.
So Nose Hill is a pretty special place in Calgary. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Nose Hill is my favorite place in Calgary. It's a park and it's very, very, very big. And when we go there, we won't see almost any of it really, but you'll get an idea of how big it is. It's actually 3 times as big as Central Park in New York City, which is really pretty amazing. And the other thing that makes that extraordinary is that it's not, it isn't a built park, it's a natural park. It's a natural environment park, which means that it hasn't been tidied up, things have not been planted in it, it hasn't been built up. And it only became a park about 20 years ago. But before that, it's always been a place where people went to walk around and to look at things and to look at nature. There's been a few things happening there that are not park-like. It used to be pasture, it used to be a little bit of farmland, and there was a gravel mine on the top. And all of those things that people have done have become now part of the park spirit, so it's a very interesting place historically.
I see you've brought an envelope. What do you have in there?
I brought some feathers. I brought an owl's feather.
Oh.
See how it's beautifully striped, and I'm sure you've seen photographs of how owls are so many different colors going on in them that you can't even see them. It's very, very soft, as you can feel. The edges are kind of frilly, and that is especially quiet when it flies. You can't hear anything. You can't hear any flapping or creaking or anything. It's also very important for the owl to be able to control the air that is blowing around it so that it can fly in very careful and specific sorts of ways and make quick little turns and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
And it's not anything, if you find other feathers, this is a goose feathers, you can feel that. How stiff that is by comparison. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And when that is also a wing feather of a goose, same as that is a wing feather of an owl. When geese fly overhead, you can hear them. They go, right? Like you can hear that, like somebody sweeping the sky.
Wow.
And I also brought, this is a magpie's tail feather. Now it's surprisingly soft for the same sorts of reasons as in the owl, is this allows the magpie to do lots of very clever maneuvering. When you see them flying, those are beautifully spread out like a fan, and you think they're probably really stiff like a fan, but they're so soft,
yeah, they are.
But then the magpie's wing feather is again a little bit stiffer and has that very stiff leading edge, and this is quite a bit stiffer. You can see it doesn't have any frills, right?
Yeah. I'm very excited to see the park. Let's take a shortcut.
Okay. So Emma, I brought you here because this is the place where I once saw a whole messy bunch of stuff with some feathers and some like fluff and some lumpy things. And when I stood and looked at it, I figured out this had been a place where an owl had been sitting up there, maybe in that little tree.
Wow.
And every night they sit in the same place and they throw up all of the feathers and bones and things of the thing that they ate. So those things, you can find them all over the ground when you find the place. I don't see anything here right now. That fluff is the seeds of the willow.
Oh.
It's the same kind of fluff as the cottonwood makes. You know how in the city the fluff blows around?
Yeah.
So it's the time of year when the willows make their seeds, and when there's a wind, this stuff blows all over the place.
It's soft.
It's really soft. I've stopped because I wanted to show you what the willow looks like when you're not staring right into its fluff. These narrow, dark leaves, and this one doesn't have any fluff on it because this is actually the male tree, which had pollen on it a few weeks ago, and the pollen all went over to the female tree, pollinated it, and then the female tree made the fluff.
So there's a male and a female tree?
Yeah, there's two different trees, and there's another willow here, and you can see a lot of dead branches.
Yeah.
They grow really, really, really fast, and dying really fast is another complement of that.
When you look up at all the aspens, they're
Doesn't
so
it?
tall.
Looking up through them is so nice.
Yeah.
And if you touch it and rub your hands on it, you can feel a sort of a sandy kind of feeling. That stuff is made by the bark, and it works as sunscreen.
Really?
You can rub it on your skin.
That's so cool.
And it's also really good if you get your hands dirty. You can like kind of rub them in it, and it takes off anything sticky or anything smelly. On this hillside right now, there's nothing but grass, it looks like. But in May, it's absolutely completely yellow because the buffalo bean is blooming, and it covers the whole of this hillside. There are more beetles than any other kind of insect. A woman asked a famous scientist, this was in the 19th century, what in his studies he had learned about God, and he said, God is inordinately fond of beetles. There are 3 kinds of wild roses, and they're all 3 of them are here at the park. I guess officially, in terms of botanical terms, the emblem is really only the one of them, but they're very hard to tell apart. So the wild roses grow in every habitat in Alberta. The mountains, the grasslands like this, the swamps, up north in the bush. So that's one of the reasons that they were chosen as the emblem.
So what are these called?
This is wolf willow.
I don't like the smell of them.
You know, that's really interesting because I think the world is divided into 2 people. There are people who love this smell and people who really don't like it.
So why do they sometimes smell but sometimes they don't?
Oh, you know, the part that smells is the flower. Oh. And the flower blooms at the beginning of June, just for a very short time, maybe about a week. They are yellow and they're star-shaped. They only have 4 petals.
Okay.
And that's you're probably even remembering it if you smelled it before.
So right now they don't have the flowers.
Right now they don't have enough flowers. This plant is called the cranesbill. It's actually a member of the geranium family, which is very confusing when you think about geraniums in the garden. But those are different kind of geraniums. These are the real ones. Track of a caterpillar that's living inside the leaf.
That's so cool.
Isn't that beautiful?
That was a very successful day.
It was.
Shall we head back to the shortcut?
Yeah.
Wow, that was fun.
Yes, it was. It was really fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for asking.
Would you like to stamp and sign the wall?
Yes, I would love to.